people, if they were tortured, you may be producing future terrorists.
There are going to be some states that disregard the law come what may. There are states that are engaging in torture, oblivious to the fact that the Convention Against Torture makes this a fundamental norm, the prohibition against torture. We're not going to have any effect on them. But we know that there are other states that are supposed to be promoting democracy throughout the world that are using devices like subcontracting, like Guantanamo Bay, because they can't do this on their own soil. They'll incur the sanction of their courts.
Irene Khan, you want to come in here?
You started by saying that you wanted to bridge idealism and reality. Don't you think it's a very idealistic position to believe that torture can actually be regulated? We know that it's not just that the CIA are subcontracting. The CIA are actually carrying out methods that international law would say are torture. 98 people have died, and the CIA claim that this is a system by which they're having this torture regulated at every stage by their superior, checked, and so on. So things are not working.
Bob Stewart, do you want to take that point?
Well, look, I have not, sir, been subject to torture. I have interrogated. In 1978, I was an intelligence officer, and I used to be driven distracted by the fact that my hands were tied behind my back in all senses. For example, I could only interview someone for 4 hours. I couldn't use any coercive techniques on them, and they laughed at me. And these were killers. And they went out and killed again. It drove me to distraction. I don't want to torture someone, pull their nails out. I don't want that. I don't like the idea of torture. I mean, I hate it. But I would like to have some power available to those people who are trying to fight terrorism, to try and get information out of people who are laughing at us, and saying nothing.
Did you ever wonder what torture would do to you? Not to the victim, not to the person from whom you would get the information, but what it would do to you as a human being.
My point is this. Is it better to hurt someone but not kill them and save a lot of people's lives? And that's the basic debate.
Is it better to live as no matter what, with no values as an animal?
No, we don't live with no values. Khawar, Qureshi and myself have got total values. We just think we've got to be realistic in the current world where we are so threatened by so many people.
Intelligence, I mean, after the weapons of mass destruction,
it's nothing to do.
Iraq,
yes, we agree.
Why would a judge trust your intelligence to say, Mr. X has a certain piece of information, the only way I can get it out of him is by torturing him? Why would the judge believe you in that situation? Because so often intelligence has been proven to be wrong.
Well, yes.
Well, the judge would presumably examine it on a case-by-case basis.
What judge would do is he would say yes, and that's how you open the floodgates.
Judges aren't like that. Which judges are these?
When you tell the judge the only way I can save lives is by torturing Mr. X.
How many times have you been before a court asking for warrants? How many times have you asked a court for that kind of relief?
Well, we know what happens in closed. We know what happens behind closed doors. We also know security cases and how innocent people have been locked up.
No, I'm sorry.
So many innocent people have been locked up.
Can you let him answer the point, please?
I'm sorry. Remember that there are some oppressive totalitarian jurisdictions that don't give a damn about legal principles. The jurisdictions that I'm talking about are the jurisdictions that are using devices like Guantanamo Bay, like subcontracting, because they know that if these issues were placed before their own judiciary, they would be condemned, because they have an independent judiciary whose integrity is unimpeachable. So the notion that somebody could come before a judge in the US courts, even at the lowest level, or the English courts at the lowest level, and hoodwink the judge, I'm sorry, is fanciful.
A gentleman in the front row.
My question is for the gentleman. I'm sure you know of many cases in which people have been incarcerated or even given the death penalty, only to be cleared so many years later. And for those of you who don't know, the condition for a death penalty conviction is beyond the shadow of any doubt. They have to be 100% sure, and there is no doubt that they're innocent, and there's still innocent people slipping through the holes. So what procedure are you willing to give or to guarantee so that no innocent people will fall through the holes? Thank you.
Khawar Qureshi.
We live in a world where there are, at the moment, double standards. And it's to avoid those double standards that we must provide legal safeguards that states which would otherwise subcontract coercion or otherwise create legal black holes such as Guantanamo Bay have no excuse for doing so. They will carry on doing this until we confront them with the issue and provide them with no escape route.
Freshta Raper, you want to come in on this?
I will say it over and over again. You know deep down very, very well there will 100% going to be everything going to go wrong, no matter how safe legal guard you're going to say is going to be abused in the entire world. There is no legal guard will be exist, and everyone knows, and you had experience in many, many cases, and you know how easily can be abused. And I don't think for one moment, no matter how safe and how many people employ, how much money and resources will be spent, that it still can be abused.
Khawar, Qureshi, you want to come back on that?
It's all well and good for us to say it's going to happen anyway, but why don't we at least try to do something about it, as opposed to being unrealistic?
Trying to destroy more life, I'm sorry.
Not at all.
This is exactly what is going to happen.
Gentleman in the fourth row.
My question to the side against.